Hear ye, and welcome to the Royal Geek Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Rollison, also known as T-Roll, and tonight I am joined by my very good friends. First of all, we got Justin Sandoval, a.k.a. Sandy, and we also have Anthony Amato, who we like to call Shamato. Boys, we are back late, but better late than never.
Better late than
right?
ever, yep.
We
Perfect.
are here to discuss Ant-Man and the Wasp QuANTuMANia.
Uh-huh.
And big apologies to all of our faithful listeners, fans, followers, and friends. We're a couple days late. We had a lot of things going on, a lot of sicknesses, a lot of trips, a lot of nonsense. But nonetheless, we have made it, and I even forgot to raise my microphone. So there you go.
Yeah.
We're all out of sorts, but we are freaking fired up to finally talk about this movie. And we are so thankful that you are here. Before we get into all the discussion and spoilers and all that, we want to remind you to hit the subscribe button wherever you are watching, wherever you are listening, whether you're on YouTube or Apple Podcasts, Google, something like that. And also to share the podcast and leave a review. That would help us out tremendously. Leave a review, leave a comment on YouTube, leave a review on Apple or Google or Spotify. That helps us out a lot. And also follow us on social media at Royal Geek Pod on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Follow us and cheers to you. So with that in mind, boys, I don't think we need to waste any time, right?
No, let's just
I don't
dive
think
in.
they want us to waste any more time. They've been waiting
long enough.
long enough. Here's your official spoiler warning for Ant-Man and the Wasp QuANTuMANia. Let's just put it out there. Did you guys like it? There's been a lot of, how should I say this? Discussion about this movie not being that good.
Yeah, there's about the Rotten Tomato scores, right?
A lot of critique.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Critics gave it a 47 on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's right.
now,
Which is
tied
for the lowest MCU movie ever with Eternals, I'm pretty sure.
It is. Yeah, that's crazy
Yeah.
to think about.
No, really think about that. If you're watching this, you have watched Ant-Man and the Wasp, QuANTuMANia. Hopefully. There's no way that this movie is as bad as Eternals.
No way.
No.
No.
I'm not saying this is the best movie ever, but good God, it's better than Eternals.
Way better than Eternals. Way better.
Amato, how'd you feel?
I felt like it was incredibly uneven as a movie. Like that's what one of my biggest takeaways from the movie as a whole was. There were moments where I was like zeroed in, and I was like, this movie is really good right now. And I just thought it deserved like something like a B+ to maybe like an A- rating.
Wow.
But then there were moments where they completely pulled you out of where you were at, and it was some of the on the lower end of the MCU quality. I would say is where I saw it. It was very uneven. Is the biggest takeaway I would have of it.
Okay, fair.
Justin,
fair.
would you agree with that?
I really enjoyed the movie. I did. I enjoyed it. However, leaving the movie, I did feel like something was missing. I felt like, I don't know, man. I enjoyed what I was seeing on the screen, but I kind of feel like I was misled. I kind of feel like
misled.
Yeah, the trailers leading up to it, it was like very like dramatic and dark and like ominous, and you thought you were gonna get that, right? Well, and then you go in the movie, and like Shimano said, you're in the thick of it. You're in like the moment, like zoned in, and they take you out of it with a random joke or forced like something to sense of humor wise.
Yes,
but like, it's just forced. But yeah, so I enjoyed it overall. Though I just feel like something was missing.
Well, there was something missing. And it was actually more jokes. It was Louise. We were missing Louise.
We were missing
Louise.
We did. We did.
I don't really 100% blame him for that because you would have to pull in a whole new character.
I know, yeah. But I was convinced we were going to get him once they came out of the quantum realm at the end. How come he wasn't at the
birthday party?
Yeah, the birthday party. Anyways.
Yeah, he should have been. Or would have been. What would have been really cool is if like they had maybe a secondary storyline where maybe Cassie is initially in there in the quantum realm with them. But, maybe she's with Louise and she has to work with, Louise and the ex-cons. And, like, they're working on the outside trying to help them on the inside for a moment. And they're, like, working together, maybe playing off each other a little bit. Then maybe they're a little bit, like, off because they're, like, they're literally working with a child. And they're, like, they're not sure exactly how to act at that moment.
I was actually convinced that that the second post-credit scene, which, we'll just save both of those for a little later, okay? But the second one is normally like just kind of a funny, nothing serious. And I was like, it's got to be Louise. Why not? Like, just give us Louise for a minute or two in the second post-credit scene, But
What if Louise had was watching the security camera footage of the moment of them going in and then coming out of the quantum realm, and he's just him reacting to that.
Yeah,
would have been
yeah.
just hilarious. Just for like a
Exactly.
moment, just like even if it was only like a few seconds, he's just like, "What the heck?"
yeah,
just like,
exactly.
something just like crazy like that would have been pretty hilarious.
All right, so you guys had some critiques there.
Yeah, I have critiques. Yeah,
You said uneven, Shimado. Justin, you felt like it was missing something.
yeah, correct.
My thoughts are, it's interesting. I love going into a movie knowing what the Rotten Tomatoes score is normally. I really do. I think it helps me to get prepared for it.
Yeah.
And when there's a low number, I'm going into it with a very defeated attitude. I'm ready to be disappointed.
Right.
And in light of that, and it might be simply because the scores were so low. Maybe if I went in and the scores were like 88%, I would feel let down by the movie.
Yeah.
But because the critique scores were so low, I walked out of there thinking, you know what? That was pretty good. Like I really enjoyed it for one. I get some of the comments you guys made for sure. For example, nobody died.
Nobody did.
And I'm one of these guys that needs people to die, but it creates stakes.
Yep.
And and I was really shocked that nobody died. Even Kang. I don't think he's dead, but and if he's actually dead, I'll be more upset. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
but
I mean, okay. So the one thing with the King is literally you can kill off one version, and there are
but the Conqueror version, I don't think they should just kill off like that. Is what I mean.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll come back. We're just kind of opening overall thoughts. Here's where I'll land on this. I think that I imagine that the critics just their minds couldn't handle the wonkiness of the quantum realm. This movie was basically, it felt like a Star Wars movie with all the weirdness, and they took the dial and just turned it up as far as it would go.
Yes.
That's a very good.
It was just so out there, not in its plot. In some sense, it was uneven. They would deviate at times, but there was a clear reason that Kang needed Scott. There was clear stakes for Scott. There was a clear villain with good motives.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in that sense, the storyline checks out. So I think what the critics couldn't handle was how crazy the quantum realm was. And again, it was out there.
It was wild. I enjoyed that. I think that was one of the things I liked was how strange it was. It didn't feel like a Marvel movie for a large portion of that, and it was because the world was so
I see what you're
zany.
saying.
So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
enjoyed that part of it. I did.
Yeah. So I just think because the critics couldn't wrap their minds around certain aspects of the context, it affected them in their score. Now, again, I think there are fair critiques, which you guys have laid out already. But that being said, I would say I enjoyed this movie. It's not my favorite Marvel movie, but there are some things I would have done differently. But I mean, Kang rocked it.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
yeah.
King was.
Oh my gosh, this was great.
Yes.
So overall, this is the first act of our review here. I think we are, I don't know where I'd rank this. We don't have to rank it right now, but I mean, it was better than I thought it was going to be.
Okay. I mean, it was
Wasn't as good as I would have hoped.
It was enjoyable. It
wasn't as good as I would have hoped.
Yeah.
But better than what I thought in light of all the reviews.
Well, here's
How's
the
that?
thing. I was going into this thing. This was going to be epic. This is what I
Even with the reviews or before the reviews?
before the reviews.
Before the
I was
reviews.
like, this is going to be epic. It's going to be insane.
Whether you like it or not, the reviews changes the way you go into a movie. It has to.
Yeah, and just I don't know, Kang. I have high hopes. Which like I said, he was great in this movie. Absolutely fantastic. But the Kang as an entity that's going to supposedly be the big bad for the next two phases, right? I had just a grander view of what was going to happen from this movie, and it may still come to fruition.
Okay, what do you mean?
Okay, so Kang, quote unquote, is he dead? Is he not dead? That kind of thing, right? But I really expected him to come out on top and win. to like therefore set the stakes for the rest of these movies coming out. They're all building to get to Kang, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But now Kang is kind of put in the drawer again. Like he's put back to where nobody's really gonna to worry about him right now.
It would have been an interesting idea because of the whole deal that he had with Janet, and basically if he just decided to, which would make him an even more interesting character, is if he decided to be like, you know what, I'm not gonna push up on this timeline because I made this deal with Janet, but I'm gonna be pushing all these other timelines. So then they have to go in after him. So it would be interesting to see them. They have to kind of almost go after him because he's being almost gentlemanly in the sense that he's like, well, I said that I would not take over your world or your timeline, so I'm not going to do that. But I am going to be clipping all these other timelines. So you have to make the choice of, do you cross that threshold because you believe all these other timelines deserve the right to exist, or do you stay in your own timeline, stay safe because you know that it's supposedly safe? So that'd be an interesting way to play it out. I mean, overall, I would say I feel like there were some technical flaws in the movie, but the whole idea.
Are you staying on Kang right now, or are you gonna go?
Just go ahead if you got someone Kang. Go.
Yeah, I was gonna say something else on Kang. To your comment, how you had a grander view. Mm-hmm. I agree that I thought he was gonna come out on top. I was actually shocked.
Yeah.
That Ant-Man won this battle.
Right. Correct.
I think what Marvel would probably try to tell you is we actually have a grander view because it's not just Kang, it's Kangs, plural, right?
I mean,
that seems to be what they're doing.
Yeah, I get that. However, Kang the Conqueror is, in my mind, from what I know from all the comic books and everything like that. Yes, I get that the Council of Kangs, they're a thing, but there's the head honcho who is the Conqueror.
All right, which we'll come back to that later because I have a fun theory about that one.
Okay,
but,
great.
But we'll come back. We're going to come back to Kang in a minute. Amano, go ahead with what you're going to say.
I was just going to bring up the whole fact that I felt like it had some good points and things like that. I feel there were technical flaws in the way that it was done, and I felt like they kind of phoned in the exterior CGI. Like the background stuff, like not the characters. The characters were interesting, and it was very much so. But I felt like, in a lot of ways, you could really tell that they were like on a blue screen. And I feel like they instead of potentially creating some sets, they decided to just be like, we're just going to put them up on a screen and have them act through this.
Mm-hmm. Did you feel that way, Justin?
I mean, there were some choppy CGI in this, for sure. And I didn't see it in the characters, but there was definitely some, I don't know, some items in the world, yes. But I'm not going to be too critical on that because it was a fantasy world of the quantum realm that doesn't exist. So, it is what it is.
It exists.
I can accept that. I can accept the choppy CGI.
Sure.
It's fine. But there were moments that kind of caught me off guard.
I think what's good for me is as a movie simpleton compared to these two, like unless the CGI is like really, really, really noticeably bad,
like Marmaduke.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Like Marmaduke, like unless the CGI is just like so crazy bad, I almost never notice it. So like everything that Shimada was just saying, I'm like, yeah, I don't even remember anything like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think maybe one more critique, and I want to circle back to something you said, Amada, and I'll tee you up for this. And then I want to talk more about just the plot, the finish, and certainly speculation. That's what's really going to be fun here tonight. When you said it was uneven before the pod, you mentioned a couple things that you really felt like made it uneven in like the climax of the movie.
Yes.
And I'd like to talk about those actually, because I really agree on one of them for sure.
Okay, so I felt like going into the climax, there was, I felt like the movie kind of went, it was started out pretty well, and then it had a little dip, and then it really took off. I felt like it had some moments that were really taking off that were really, really cool. And then they get to this climax that is here, and I felt like they were leaning towards something, but I feel like there were multiple times where they pulled you out of the action, out of the moment to be extra funny, like unnecessary moves that they made. And I know I understand Ant-Man is supposed to be funny, but I feel like the moment that like Cassie is talking to MODOK after she beats him up is like it just pulls everything out of it, and then she goes back. It's like it's way too long. It's like it should have been like a second or two interaction, and then back into the action. But they made it like almost like a 30-second scene that just I felt like took a lot out of the momentum of the climax, in my opinion.
Yeah. Everything with MODOK, not everything with MODOK, but everything with MODOK's conclusion, redemption, quote unquote. I was like,
Come on. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, come on. And again, I think it's true, just like you said, Amato, because it's an Ant-Man film. They try to a little lighthearted a little bit, but the whole like stop being a dick, and
Yeah.
and just like. He's an Avenger, you know.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, yeah.
Which
He's
that part was a little funny.
that-
but
I did enjoy it. That was funny.
that part was a funny line. But
And just Scott's reaction too. He's like,
I think it just
Yeah.
would have been
Another
better
thing.
if like Cassie overcame him and defeated him. You know,
that would have been
Yeah.
much better. Yeah.
in my opinion. But yeah, so that's what I would say there.
Which actually, like, to tell you the truth, I liked the fact that they brought Darren back as MODOK.
I thought that was
I
cool.
thought that was a really cool way to, like, take a character that already existed that you kind of thought you were already done with, do something that makes sense for him to be
It connects.
connect into this world. It wasn't just, a random off-scene thing that happened. It's like, oh, yeah, he definitely got crushed. And you could see the idea of him being crushed into this shape that would be MODOK. It makes sense. He was a very, his ambition and stuff got in the way. And to tell you the truth, the whole stop being a dick thing, it didn't make sense for Darren's character at all because he was a dick. Like that was a part of his being. Like
Yeah.
that was not like it wasn't even like he was a guy who started out with good intentions and then became something else. It always kind of felt like he had that underlying that part of him that was a part of who he was, and that was a part of what what made his character interesting. So they kind of took that away from him once he became, once he made that turn, as MODOK, away from being a dick. And then there was another moment where when Cassie comes up on Scott when he's doing his assault on King's Fortress, and I just felt like even that moment where
She's
he
big,
comes,
right?
Yeah, when she's big and he comes over, I felt like that kind of took out of it what was happening in the climax too. It was stalling the motion of the movie, in my opinion. Like I understand, you get this cool moment where he gets to see his daughter as she, is able to size up, but it just felt like it was taking away from the actual momentum of the story.
Yeah. And again, it's something Marvel likes to do in big fight scenes, climaxes, where there's like little, but normally they're just short little funny little things. Like when Thor and Captain America like switch between the hammer and the axe.
Yeah.
It's
brief
quick.
little
It's
moment,
brief.
yeah.
But the thing with Scott and Cassie, it was just like this like it would have been like I don't know. Yeah, I agree. It could have been better. And I think the problem is with the Ant-Man franchise, like the way the movies have been, they're flat out comedies. They're hilarious, and they've had bad villains.
Yeah.
They've had forgettable villains.
Very forgettable villains.
Like
yeah.
and they've had two of the most forgettable villains in the whole MCU. So when you compare that to literally Kang the Conqueror, that's why we feel that's especially what you're saying, right? That's why it just feels like it just didn't it didn't connect.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Are we going to talk like things we didn't like here? Is that what?
You still what else you got?
Oh, I got a list, man.
Oh, he's got a
Oh,
list.
you got a list.
He's got receipts.
I do have some
Okay,
things
go
that
ahead.
I was
trying to get positive, but
Well,
hey, the people are here for
Listen, here
the
you guys,
negativity
okay,
too.
It has to do with the climax.
Okay, yeah, that's great. Go ahead.
Okay. You guys didn't like the MODOK being a dick thing and Cassie hugging him. I didn't really mind the Cassie hugging him because the whole entire thing they were going back and forth, and that was kind of like the culmination of okay, they do love each other, that kind of thing, right? But my biggest gripe. You ready for this?
The whole movie.
But yeah, my biggest gripe. The whole,
all right,
whole
I'm
movie. Yeah.
Buckle up. I can't wait. I almost wonder. Okay, go ahead.
Was it
It's the ants.
It's the freaking ants.
It's the
man.
ants.
The
I
convenient
called it.
plot. The convenient plot like device. Oh my gosh, dude! I saw the ants go into the quantum realm. And I'm like, okay, cool, right? That's not gonna play a factor.
Oh no, I knew that was going to play a factor
And then
immediately.
they have the whole scene where Hank Pym is like, "Oh, look, they found me. I heard something." And then they go through his whole flashback of his hearing aid, and then they're communicating, trying to search. And then apparently they went into the quantum realm, and they were there. They lived 1,000 years in 1 year and developed their technology.
Yeah.
And then they go and save the day and defeat Kang. Like,
It's an Ant-Man movie, bro. What do
Dude,
you expect?
yeah,
The ants
that
are going to
was-
show up.
no, listen. You take the ants out of the movie ends the way I wanted to with Kang on top. This was ridiculous. The whole ant thing.
Yo, when Kang says to him, and you talk to ants.
Yeah.
I was like, let's freaking go. And then all the ants show up. I loved it.
No, man.
Amada, thoughts? Did you love it, hate it?
hated
I mean,
that.
okay, so
It took me out of everything.
the plot line, I mean, it was a little the plot line was a little wonky in that sense. The whole 1,000 years lifetime is I'm okay with, because they've kind of already established that that's what happens.
Yeah, time.
when,
Just things work differently there.
yeah, well, not just that, but also in Ragnarok. It happens in Ragnarok where when because Loki ends up coming out, even though they basically go in at the same time. Loki lands about a week or a month before Thor even shows up. So it's showing that those things can happen. So I understand that as an idea. I do think it was a little bit
Convenient.
It was convenient, but you also have to think about, okay, so how else would they even get an upper hand? Because
They're not supposed to. It's Kang the Conqueror. They're not supposed to get the upper hand. He was supposed to win, and they were supposed to be trapped in the quantum realm or something like that. He gets out, and then the whole rest of Phase 5 and 6 roll on. That's exactly what's supposed to happen.
But it feels like then the Kang Dynasty movie doesn't make sense.
The Kang Dynasty does make sense because he does stay true to his word. He leaves Janet alone, like Shimano says, and he goes out ripping off all the other timelines. And then at the very end of Kang Dynasty, he's like, okay, there's only one timeline left, and I'm going to take it. That's how it is.
But then it's not. But then the threat isn't Kang the Conqueror. But then the threat isn't the Kang Dynasty. It's Kang the Conqueror.
Well, the Kang Dynasty, if you think about the dynasties, right?
Yeah.
It's not about a culmination of people, right?
I think here it is.
That's the way you're interpreting it right now, right?
Because that's what they're
but
doing.
But the Kang Dynasty, it's him. It's his reign. It's his dynasty. Like, he's taking over the timeline, so therefore it is all about him. So that's why he's taking over.
You just sound like the kid who didn't get what he wanted on Christmas right now.
Listen, the ants took me out of that whole thing, man.
I didn't mind the ants.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't particularly like the fact that both Kang got defeated and they did not get stuck in the quantum realm. I felt like there had to be something had to have happened.
You just mentioned a gripe of mine.
Yes.
It felt like when Cassie just reopens the portal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Without anything to any explanation of how that's now possible, because beforehand, like, MODOK had to receive the signal and then send it back. Remember?
Yeah.
So now it's just like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm gonna just go save them again.
Open it, yeah.
Well, I mean,
that I didn't like.
Like, I mean, I understand. Like, basically, she's just sending a signal down for them to be able to kick it back. I understand that, but I felt like it took away anything in that fight scene that mattered.
Took the stakes away.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because in that fight scene, it's all like, he just had this grand line where he's like, I don't have to win. Just both of us have to lose.
Completely.
Like, that means nothing now.
Disregard it.
Like, yeah,
just disregard it.
Sure, I'll give you that.
And the fact that Hope came back for him, like, that was supposed to be, that should have been a big thing, but now it's not. Like, it should have been one of those things where, like, it reminds me almost.
Oh yeah,
like
Hope's in this movie. Almost forgot.
Yeah, it almost reminds me of like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where they had, where they get trapped on the planet, and there was stakes when they were there, and when they were, there was desperation and stuff like that, but there was none of that. Like, there should have been some time where Hope and Scott got stuck on the planet, and they were like kind of had to almost live their lives a little bit outside.
Yeah,
of this.
I think that would have been cool too. Yeah.
Yeah, like maybe he gets maybe there's like a line where he she isn't able to quite open it up back yet, and they have to. It's gonna take some time to work it out. And Scott just gets like one last thing to say to her, and he's like, "I'm sorry, I have to do this to you again, Cassie." Like that would be like a heartbreaking line. That would just be like, I feel like would have given a lot more.
Yeah,
weight
like
to
remember when
this
he's
character.
like freaking out, is she okay? And she okay? And Hope says, yeah, she's safe, she's fine. And it's like it felt like when she said that, Hope knew that they were both going to be stuck there.
Yeah.
And then you're
yeah.
right. Like as soon as that portal opens again, it's like, oh,
okay, they're
okay,
gone.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. They got out.
All right.
Everything's all better.
What was another thing you hated?
Another thing that I hated. Oh man.
People
okay.
are loving this content.
No, are they now? Yeah. Okay. So one of my big ones. That one was my.
This
big
is
one.
number 2.
This is number 2. All right. And when he's in the probability storm, yeah, and we got too many Baskin Robbins. Ant-Man, Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
Oh,
like
too much of, not too many.
Too much.
Okay. Or
Yeah.
was one? Or are you saying it's one too many? Is that what
It's
you mean?
one too many.
Oh,
Like that
we
was a
shouldn't even
serious.
got
That was
it.
a serious moment. Like where in the probability of him being in the probability realm is the Baskin Robbins Paul Rudd going to show up? No way.
The only thing I would say to that is like the fact that there was the only variation from Ant-Man.
Right.
Like if there would have also been another version where he's dressed another way.
Yeah.
Then for me,
But
it
no,
would've-
but it
yeah.
had to be the Baskin Robbins.
Sure, I'll give you that.
That took me out of it too, man.
Okay. Again, I think that's the Ant-Man franchise
Is it
trying to be funny.
nitpicky, sure.
Yeah.
Sure,
for
yeah,
sure.
that's
but
okay.
it's a serious moment.
You
like
could be
he's,
nitpicky here.
He's fighting himself because they all can't agree on something, right? And then they finally do decide to like Cassie's
Or at the very least, the
purpose.
very last thing that the Baskin Robbins one done, if it hadn't done it, like where it was like, oh, and as it fell and like stuff like that. If it hadn't done that, it would have been okay. Because I understand like having the Baskin Robbins there is like you're really trying
Product
to show
marketing.
like there are like these infinite possibilities of what he could be.
Yeah, but
you know?
in that moment in the storm, there is no probability of Baskin Robbins being there. Like in the probability storm, like
Talking about Jack.
oh yeah, that's right. There you go.
Yeah.
but yeah, so that I don't know, man.
That's fair. That's fair. All right. Any other negativity from you two?
I mean, like the biggest
Fuel the fire.
negativity that that
got a
I
lot of
have
good things,
left
though.
in me
I got a lot of good
We'll
things.
get there.
is I do feel like there were moments where I thought I was watching a prequel Star Wars movie.
Oh, just 'cause all the talking.
Not because of all the talking, but the
Visuals.
the visuals. I
Okay.
felt like I was watching once again, I felt like they got away. In my mind, I was thinking about how Star Wars got away from its practical effects when they got their hands on all this technology in 1999. And I kind of feel like the MCU is, unfortunately, in some ways, leaning in that direction as well now. Instead of using more practical effects, they are going after I forgot what it's called. What is it called? The 360 thing that like the Mandalorian used. And I actually just watched a documentary on the Thor: Love and Thunder movie, and that was the first MCU movie to use that 360 thing, and we all know how that movie felt. And like I feel like I don't know, there's potentially this path that the MCU might be heading down that is not so kind if they're going to continue to use the laziness.
heavy CGI. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, those are, Thor, Love and Thunder, and then, QuANTuMAnia are two movies with context that they're going to rely on CGI. But there will be other properties that, hopefully won't need to.
Well, and I'm
much.
okay like on the big shots, like the big shots and all that kind of stuff like that. But when you're in a cantina, you can make a cantina scene without having to be everything in there be CGI. I understand the aliens or the quantum people in the QuANTuMAnia, but you don't have to have a random. You can build a set that looks like a bar in QuANTuMAnia that's a physical set.
Sure, yeah. That's fair. All right. I think that's enough negativity.
Okay, enough negativity.
Shame on you two. All right? Shame.
Yeah.
A couple DC fans just ready to get back at Marvel.
When's
You were waiting
the
for
Flash
this.
here yet?
You were
No?
waiting
No,
for this.
Anyway.
Oh, gosh. That better be a home run, or I swear I'm done.
Trust me, I better be too. Yeah.
All right. Let's talk positively about
Yeah.
QuANTuMAnia, because there were some good things.
Oh, yeah.
There were really good things actually. Two jokes that really hit for me.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Really good actually. And it's when Kang is having the conversation with Scott when he's locked up in jail, and Scott's like, "I'm an Avenger. Like, you made a mistake, buddy. I called my pals, and like they're on their way in or whatever." And then Kang's like, He's like, Avenger? Like, did I kill you? Like, which one are you? Are you?
It's like it all runs together.
And then
It's like,
and then he says, "Are you the one with the hammer?" And Scott's like, "No, but I can see the similarities."
the physique. Yes, we have a similar physiques.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh
that
my
was
gosh,
good.
That was a great one, dude.
Well,
was
which even
hilarious.
just like the delivery of that line by Jonathan Majors was just like dripped with like the intensity and the malice.
Yeah.
like I loved it. Like I
Chilling,
love the
very
fact that
chilling,
he was
yeah.
like, he's like, it all runs together. Like just that idea of it's almost like in the Batman Beyond episode where he was like where he's like, oh, you killed so many, you killed so many of my family or something like that, and the guy's like, do you have any idea how much that does not narrow down
Yeah,
things
that does
for
not
me?
narrow down. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, Jonathan Majors just himself.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Charisma,
fantastic.
presence. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fantastic.
great. They gave him plenty of screen time. I love how they made us wait and wait and wait and
Yeah.
wait
Yeah,
before they even said his name.
Yes.
true.
And then the
They
way they
alluded.
and I love the way they had Janet say his name, like when she touches his mind. Sounds really weird to say that. Like his ship,
Yeah.
and you could see in her face the horror. And when she just says, "Who is Kang?" Like it felt so heavy.
yeah.
It
Yes.
really did. I love that. I love how they made us wait for that. And really, like, I just man, I was blown away by his performance.
Yeah, and I love the fact that his moments with Janet were really cool because, like, it's one of those moments where, like, as an audience, like you know so much more about this character than the hero in the moment knows. So it was
Sure.
really cool because you're seeing him, and like you don't really, you understand. Like Janet has no reason to not think that he's just a guy, and that everything that he is and you see him slowly manipulating and going through what's going through, and it's just really cool because like at a moment it's going to be revealed that he is who he is.
Yeah. And I will say, like, obviously for me, Kang was like my favorite thing about this movie. But my number two is Janet, and Michelle Pfeiffer killed that role, man. She did a great job, and she portrayed a lot of the emotions in the conversations with Kang, like you said, the way she said his name. But she did that throughout the entirety of the movie. Like she was a very focal point in the actual like drama plot of it all, and I enjoyed her performance hands down.
Another thing, and again, we're going to come back. We're going to finish talking about Kang in the future and everything. So we'll come back to Kang for sure. Don't worry. I know we keep teasing everybody, but that's kind of what this movie did. In fairness, guys, we got Cheaty in this movie.
That's right.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did.
So one of the freedom fighters is what's the actor's name? I don't even. Do you guys know?
Not off the top of my head now.
You'll search. One of the freedom fighters was one of the characters, one of my favorite characters from The Good Place, the comedy. Which we talked about before in our we did a bracket.
Yes, we did.
Talking about comedy shows, series. But Cheaty, and he was a telepath. And really just all of his moments interacting with Cassie and Scott were fantastic. And
William Jackson Harper.
William Jackson Harper, okay. And even like for the Good Place fans out there, like it literally felt like that was actually Cheaty himself
it did.
too.
It did.
So that was awesome.
And all of his interactions were truly great. Which
Yeah.
my second joke that really hit was the one where how many holes is he at? Like 7 holes, and then there's the pause, the brief pause,
Yeah,
and
he's like,
yeah, he's right.
yeah, he's right.
So good,
It's so good,
so
yeah.
good.
So it had its moments. All right. I think the fun thing we need to do is just speculate.
Yeah,
So why don't we do this? First of all,
Can I just add one last thing?
yes, please.
I loved the drop of the name MODOK the first time by Bill
Oh,
Murray's
yeah,
character.
yeah.
Like the fact that he doesn't say MODOK, that he says it out.
Oh, yeah,
And
that's
that,
right.
Like, and I was like, that was awesome. I loved it. It was a nice thing to where, like, if you knew, you knew, but it was just a nice little like underhanded softball for any comic book fans.
yeah. And the thing about it, a lot of critics are hating on MODOK and everything, but there's no realistic way to make him.
No, it has to be.
It has. I mean,
The quantum realm was the best place for something
Yeah.
like this to happen.
because I could not see this outside in the actual, like, standing next to Captain America. There's no way.
No.
There's no way. Like,
No,
so
I can't
this,
either.
honestly, I'm not gonna harp on it. Yes, it'll look a little weird. Yeah, it looked a little weird.
MODOK is weird.
Yeah, MODOK. Yes, MODOK is very strange. And,
He's a very strange character. I do feel like they probably could have kept his, helmet on more often.
Oh yeah, I agree
I
with
felt,
that too.
although I felt like a
Kylo
lot.
Ren treatment. Keep the
Yes.
helmet on.
Yeah, keep the helmet on.
I did feel like there were a lot of characters that were unnecessarily taking off and putting on their helmets in the movie. Like, I don't know why. I just was like, it seemed like every 5 seconds, Ant-Man was either taking it off or putting it back on. Same thing with just about every single character that had
Yeah.
a helmet. Even Kang was like on and off.
Maybe it's got to charge up. Who knows?
Who knows?
Okay, another thing I love too, before we speculate about the future, when Scott wins, quote unquote, and then he's back in San Francisco and he's walking, and it's the same as the beginning. Where he's walking down the street and he's just going to his favorite coffee shop and all this, and he's kind of self-narrating.
Now he's got to pay $20 because
yes. He starts second guessing himself.
Yep.
Yes.
This was a powerful scene.
Yes. I loved it.
I
Yes.
loved it. Every moment of this. I think I even told my wife, I was like, this is actually a great way for them to end this. Because he is in torment.
Yeah.
Because of what he knows, what this guy's capable of, and the fact that time itself, like, he can't even trust what he's living right now. And it made me second guess. Like, when he started slowing down and it got really ominous, I thought we were going to have a moment where we realized, oh, yeah, you actually didn't win.
I cannot tell you one thing I would have loved to have seen is in any of those moments, you just see like you don't
Something
even
in the background?
just like you see a version of Kang just
Yes,
sitting back,
yes.
just like not even like it has to be anything big, but just like maybe he's sitting in the background in the restaurant, or he's one
Reading
of the
a
random
newspaper.
people,
That
or
would've been
this
good.
would have been way too close. But
That
like
would've
if
been good.
at the end, if like the server that had been Kang, like you don't see him, like he's not paying attention.
Did you guys like any dessert? Like something like that?
Like or like when he brought something, and like everyone's paying attention to what's actually on the table, but like you see, and it just kind of like pans up, and as he walks away, it's like it's Kang.
Yes,
But
yes.
just showing that he's there, he's in that menacing nature. I thought would have been really
Yes.
cool, but
I would have loved that.
Yeah, that whole narration was well done, man.
Yes,
he
yeah.
was his second guessing himself. He's like, this guy, he knew what was coming, and he said he was the only one who could stop it. And if he's telling the truth, like,
yeah,
what have I done? Did we lose?
There is
Yeah.
that thing, like it is very much, with Kang, it's very much like there are versions of him that are, in general, every version of Kang is some version of evil, but it's very varying between you're talking about
Sure.
anti-hero version of evil, or are you talking about Thanos level
Yeah,
evil,
Well, I'm just kidding. Okay. Let's do it.
All right.
In my mind, I'm just going to say this right now. There is no way. I just cannot see how Marvel would actually kill off Kang the Conqueror, this particular version, this particular variant, quote unquote, the strongest, most powerful Kang variant, probably the closest villain to the level of Thanos that Marvel has. I find it hard to believe that guy would actually be dead by the hands, nonetheless, of Ant-Man. Okay?
No, yeah.
So it's like, I know that in the first post-credit scene, which we're going to get into those right now, I know that, one of those three leader Kangs said that, like, basically confirmed, well, I don't know if he confirmed, but it led all of us to believe that Kang the Conqueror is dead. But in my mind, it's like, it looked very much like he got trapped inside his...
The probability storm.
Yeah.
inside his little contraption, his little power source,
Yeah.
and it shrunk again. And yeah, he's probably stuck in a probability storm right now, which honestly I think will.
There's my. I have theories about that.
Yeah,
so.
I think it might make him stronger.
Yes, I agree. So I believe that he is trapped in the probability storm in the core of his.
Yeah.
All right, so buy or sell.
Yeah.
Kane the Conqueror is alive.
Yeah.
You're
buy-
buying?
yeah,
Yes.
buy
Okay,
that.
so we're all buying.
Yeah.
Great.
So he's trapped in there, and it's all variations of probabilities of him, right? So why would that not only make him stronger because he sees every possible scenario of what he would do, and now not only is he learning and figuring out these ways how he can better himself, he's probably going to emerge from that thing like an unstoppable force. And I think that's what's truly going to happen.
Yeah. It's very similar to like the idea of like when Doctor Strange saw the probabilities, when in Infinity War. And he's basically just like, well, and he was able to see the one path that took him to it. Well, that's what kind of how Kang very well might be, is where he sees all these probabilities and he knows what is the one with the best chance of him being successful.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. So, okay. What do we think? So we all think he's alive.
Yes.
I agree with that. However, the thought of him being dead is what sparks the first post-credit scene, which let's freaking talk about that.
Yes.
By the way, 2 of the best post-credit scenes in one movie that we've ever had.
I agree.
my
I
opinion.
agree.
Yeah.
They were solid
they were
post-credit
pretty awesome.
scenes. Yeah.
It would take some time to compare this to other movies that had 2 post-credit scenes that were this good, but holy smokes.
Yeah. The Council of Kangs scene was wild.
Dude.
Yeah.
Well, first you get the talking between the 3 of them. Immortus is the one with the big giant hat on.
Who talks like this?
Yes,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty
And
much
then-
just Forrest Whitaker.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Yes.
But they're having their discussion about is he dead? And he said, I wouldn't have called you all here if he wasn't, that kind of thing, right? And then they like pan out into this big giant Coliseum arena, and portals are opening, which similar portals to how Reed Richards made his appearance in Multiverse of Madness,
Right.
Yeah.
Which obviously Kang is a descendant of Reed Richards. So
Right,
that's-
right,
yeah.
right.
But anyway, they're just all there. Everybody's there. All the Kangs, all variants of Kangs, and that was just
Thousands of them.
so wild to see. And when they pan up to the top of the Coliseum, that whole panel, that scene is like directly out of the comic book. Like it's insane.
Yeah. It was awesome to see. So the other 2, so you had Immortus up there. Rama Tut was the Egyptian pharaoh looking Kang.
Yes.
And did you see how his like scars were like gold?
Yeah.
That was sick, dude. I mean, that looked awesome. The other one that like had like a spacesuit on or something looked
Yeah.
like Tron. Like I don't know what that was. Who? Do you guys know who that is?
Well, I mean,
do we know? I know there's some.
There's supposed to be 4. Like there's 4. Kang is one of them. Like the top ones.
Kang the
top,
Conqueror.
Yeah, Kang the Conqueror is like one of the top ones, and then it's Immortus, Tut, and
Rama
then
Tut,
yes, and then the other one's supposed to be Scarlet Sentinel, I believe is what it is.
Centurion.
Yes, Centurion. Yeah, Scarlet Centurion. But he wasn't wearing red, so I don't know if that was on purpose. He was wearing blue, so I don't know if that was him or not.
Too much red in
Yeah.
in Marvel, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know.
But,
we don't know.
That PR was
I
the
have
word
seen.
Scarlet.
I have seen people arguing about who that third one was.
Yeah.
So maybe we don't have to speculate on that. But clearly, what Immortus says is when they say that they did it. I'm assuming he means like the Avengers.
Yeah, that's what I was gathering too.
It's got to be
Yeah.
because this isn't the first time that they've dealt with the multiverse, and that's what he said. Like they're beginning to touch the multiverse, or they're
Yeah.
beginning to affect. What did he say?
like the branches, the timeline.
I think they did say touch.
Touch. Yeah.
It was an odd. It was odd, but it was fitting as well. as
Yeah,
the way
yeah.
they said it.
And so they kind of view the Avengers. I think my interpretation of that is they view the Avengers as a threat.
Yeah.
You guys got that too?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then also, I mean, No Way Home and Multiverse of Madness plus Ant-Man QuANTuMAnia, I think what led to them being like, okay, they're a threat now because they are dabbling in this world that they thought was only theirs. That kind of thing.
only they knew
Yeah,
how to access.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. So they're going to want to take them out. So I think that sets up the Kang dynasty, which is, I believe, all these Kangs, all these variants, they're going to come after the Avengers in our universe, 616.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, they're going to play a factor. They are going to play a factor. I just don't know how that's going to play out on screen if it's all of them versus the Avengers, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Well, I think it would be interesting to see if it's like the Avengers almost get duped a little bit. Like this version like all them come to this, and then Kang the Conqueror shows up maybe 75% of through the first Avengers movie, and actually helps them defeat the other versions, and it helps the Avengers. But then we find out basically the only reason he did that was so that he could get back control. And then he turns on the Avengers, and by the end of the movie, Kang is once again very, very similar to like Infinity War. Kang is on top, and then the whole second one is kind of them getting back to a point where they can defeat him.
Well, this kind of segues my theory. It's similar, a little different, but I could see a world. I'm gonna just say it now, and maybe this doesn't happen, but if it does, we're gonna come back to this pod. You guys remember that T-Roll predicted this. What if the Kang variants are so difficult? And this is what He Who Remains said, right? And Loki is fully aware of this now, and Ant-Man gets this now, and the Avengers in the middle of Kang Dynasty are gonna see just how bad all these variants are, that they need some help. And guess what they do? They turn to Ant-Man. He jumps in the quantum realm.
Sets him free.
He sets him free. And just like Kang the Conqueror needed Ant-Man, now Ant-Man needs him. And sets it, because it's like, at least with him, it's one guy as opposed to all of these variants. And then that's what kind of finishes off the dynasty. But then, of course, obviously, Kang the Conqueror can't be trusted, and that's what leads to Secret Wars following that. So,
okay,
I can see it, man.
Yeah, I can see it too. I can see it. I can get behind that. I like that.
It'd be sick. But either way, like, if Kang the Conqueror is dead at the hands of Ant-Man,
yep, shame on you, Marvel.
I am gonna be blown away.
Yeah,
because we wanted Ant-Man to take out Thanos. Don't forget. We wanted that theory.
It's true.
Yep, that's the
and
one.
we didn't get that one. Oh, man. Okay.
Nice.
Okay. Should we talk about the second?
Yes,
post-credit
absolutely.
scene?
Which this got me really excited.
So excited.
For
So
sure.
excited. I didn't think I thought we were going to get a funny one. That's normally Marvel's MO. If you get two, usually the second one is just a
comical.
Yeah. We see somewhat of a presentation. First thought it was like a talent show, but it looked like a expo in a sense. And it was Victor Timely, which in the comics I learned this. I didn't know all this. I had to learn some of this. We were dealing with Kang. There's a lot of things from the comics I don't know. Another variation of Kang in the comics, and Victor Timely is a guy who had invented space travel or was time travel, and it looked like this was like, I don't know, what would you guys say, late 1800s?
Yeah, mid 1800s, mid to late 1800s.
Yeah, or it could be early 1900s, but certainly in that turn of the century. And then, dude, you see Loki.
Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah.
In the crowd, and he says that's him, or there he is, or something like that.
And then Mobius right next.
And Mobius is right there. So I mean, clearly this is a scene directly from the next season of Loki, which I then remembered when seeing that. It's like, oh my gosh,
we're getting the season.
That's
of Loki.
this summer.
Yep.
And I cannot freaking wait for that.
Yeah,
so,
it's gonna be wild. It's gonna be exciting.
I don't have any theories on what that is. Do you guys have any?
Well, see that. Okay, so here's the thing. We got Kang and Ant-Man. Yes, now he's gone. Right. However, Loki was introduced to Kang at the end of season 1, and then season 2, I guess, is gonna have some sort of dealings with stopping variations of Kang, which could be cool to see if that is the case.
Maybe. Yeah.
But that will kind of dabble us more into Kang as a character moving forward in the phases 5 and 6,
or at the very least, like maybe they're just dealing with the fact of like what they're doing because of the fact that now they're all grouping together. Like maybe the whole idea of Kang the Conqueror being out of the picture momentarily, and all these other Kangs coming together is throwing off so many timelines. The TVA would be very interested in that fact, and they're just seeing like all this weird dealings that are just going on with all these different Kangs, and they're just trying to figure out what the heck is going on more than anything else.
Yeah, and like what is the TVA post He Who Remains? Like, there's clearly another Kang who's ruling it because that statue we see.
Yes. Correct.
But is it another benevolent Kang, or is it like one who is looking to rule, conquer, dictator? Yeah, I mean, we have no idea. Gosh, and there's so many variations and variants, so many versions of Kang from the comics. So I'm really excited to see what they're going to do. I have no idea. All right, am I missing anything?
Not that I can think of. No.
Wow, I feel like, man.
What I gather from this is Marvel needs to do better.
Okay.
Marvel needs to do better. They need to get back to their roots, get back in touch with their roots, and they need to start producing quality products rather than just producing quantities of products.
Yeah. I am starting to feel that same kind of way where maybe they need to start trimming the amount that they're actually putting out each year.
Well, they're doing that already. You guys know that, right?
Yeah.
Because they said the shows they're slowing down.
Yeah.
They're gonna do less of those series so that they have more time to work on them and let them shine.
Or at the very least, if they're going to put out more content like that, maybe it's a terrible idea, but have
Let's hear it.
an MCU canon version and then have a non-canon where they can have a sandbox. If they want to have these extra series that are not directly related to the MCU timeline.
This isn't DC, Shamato. Everything has to connect. They just spent $52 billion to purchase Fox so that it can all connect. They're not going to do that. Just enjoy What If, okay?
Fair enough. Just enjoy.
You'll get What If. Just pipe down over there. You'll get What If.
What If is even not canon anymore for the most part.
Yeah, I guess so, but it's close enough.
Yeah.
in their mind.
We'll see. We'll see where Marvel goes from
again,
here. I have high hopes for Guardians Volume 3. I have extremely high hopes for that.
Yeah,
one.
it looks pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, again, I just think with QuANTuMANia, I'll tell you this: if it didn't, I'll say this: if QuANTuMANia didn't have such an incredible villain, I think I would feel a lot better today. Or sorry, a lot worse. Yeah. If I wasn't if it didn't have two amazing post-credit scenes,
yes,
that sets up the future. I think I would feel a lot worse. Definitely, because if the takeaway was, oh, Kang's done, of course I would be pissed.
Yeah.
But because I didn't believe that, and because those post-credit scenes were awesome, and Kang is just Jonathan Majors killed it, that helped me with this movie. I loved it a lot more than probably it deserves. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Still up.
Overall, it was enjoyable.
Yeah, I mean, if a few weeks ago we ranked all of the Phase 4 projects. For me, this would be a lot higher than most of those.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I don't remember exactly where.
You're competing against
put it.
She-Hulk, so
certainly higher than She-Hulk.
Yeah, higher than She-Hulk, higher than Eternals. I know that for sure.
Oh boy, yeah. I still cannot believe it's got the same score as Eternals.
Yeah.
Huh? They need to put that in perspective. When they're looking at these things, when you're 47%, look at Eternals maybe we should bump
maybe
it up
it's a little better.
Yeah.
On top of the fact that Eternals also stole an extra 45 minutes of our lives, then this
we will
movie
never
would
get
have.
back. Maybe a Jester review on Eternals.
Oh, I would love that actually.
Yeah.
I would love that.
All right. Yeah. Well, that's it. Speaking of which, there will be a Jester review next week. I'm hoping. Ooh, the fact that I just said that means we need to do it now. So we'll make sure we do it. But anyways, this has been fun, guys. So let's wrap it up. Ladies and gentlemen, everyone who tuned in, thank you so much. Again, please follow us on social media at Royal Geek Pod, wherever you would like to, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Follow us there. And also, please hit the subscribe button wherever you are watching, wherever you are listening. And please return next week. In 2 weeks, we will be beginning our reviews of Mandalorian Season 3. So that is on the horizon. Get excited about that. And, of course, the next Marvel project, I believe, is Secret Invasion, which I literally am more excited about Secret Invasion than Guardians. I'm more excited for Secret Invasion than a lot of things, if I have to be real.
It should be
incredible.
Blade.
I'm really just fired up for it. So, anyways, big shout out to all of you. Thank you guys for listening. As for my friends, Sandy and Shamato, this is T-Roll saying thank you so much for tuning in to the Royal Geek Podcast. We will see you next time You peasants.